Good evening, Mary. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a fabulous evening. I'm sure you are. I better introduce myself. I'm not quite as famous as the other faces that have appeared here. So, my name is Alec Gordon. In an earlier life, I was the chief sports sub-editor at the Daily Record and also the sports editor at Sunday Mail. And obviously, it was through newspapers that I first met Tommy Gemmell. I'm never likely to forget that. Back in 1969, I was 17 years old at the time, and Tommy Gemmell was playing for Celtic. He was the best left back in the world. Um, uh, I was sitting at the sports desk at the Record. The phone came to life. I answered it. There was a chap called David Gregory. And he introduced himself. He asked me who I was, and I gave him a bit of chat. And he explained he was going to be the editor of a magazine that was about to launch later that year. And he wanted a Scottish section in the magazine. He was going to make it a UK magazine. So it wasn't just going to be all English football. So he asked me, would I be prepared to write some material for the magazine? And although I was a production journalist at the Record, I was 17 at the time. I did like writing. I enjoyed it. So I said, yeah, fine. Let's see if you like me and I like you. So he said, right, we want to launch the Shoot magazine with a big name from Scotland. Can you give me a name? And I immediately thought of Tommy Gemmell, who honestly had been my favourite footballer. I used to go to the games with my pals, and they would be friends or fans, I should say, of Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Murdoch, whoever. But Tommy was my man. So there was no second thoughts. I threw in the name Tommy Gemmell. So David Gregory said, right, fine, we'll be doing a spread then. Can you arrange it? There'll be money involved. He told me the figure. And I thought, well, I could only ask Mr. Gemmell if he's willing to talk to me. So he said, right, I'll leave it with you and I'll phone you in a couple of days. Now, we had a contacts number for all the players. We had a contacts book on the desk. So I looked up Tommy Gemmell and there was his name and address and number. And I thought, right, okay, I'll phone him tomorrow. Now, I have to be quite honest with you. I was shaking like a leaf in a storm to talk to the great Tommy Gemmell. So anyway, I plucked up the courage and I put in a call, and the phone was answered by Tommy. So I said, excuse me, Mr. Gemmell. I explained who I was and why I was on. And I said to him, could I please steal 5 minutes of your time? And my heart plummeted to the earth's core when Tommy said, no, you can't steal 5 minutes of my time. I'll talk to you as long as you like, son. On you go. Now, that was a simple act of kindness, and Tommy knew that the guy on the other end of the phone was a nervous wreck. So he really put me at ease that day. He gave me everything that I could possibly want. To be honest, I was knocked out that this guy was such a gentleman. And who the hell was Alec Gordon? So I wrote the copy. It was a first person piece by Tommy Gemmell. I forgot to tell him that he was going to get paid. So it duly appeared in the magazine. I sent a copy to Tommy and told him there would be money involved. And I phoned later to make sure that the bag had arrived okay. And Tommy said, yep, got it here, thanks, read well. And said there was no need for the money. It's not a problem. Talking to the press guys. So from stealing 5 minutes with Tommy Gemmell, that 5 minutes lasted something like almost half a century. And it was always a pleasure to be in Tommy's company. We right up to the last, my wife and I, Gerta, we made a point of getting through to Dunblane maybe once or twice a week to go for lunch with Tommy. And again, it was a great source just when you thought there was nothing else to find out or there wasn't another story or an exclusive. Tommy would dredge it up from somewhere, and all these meetings were brilliant. They really were brilliant. I just loved the guy's sense of fun, you know, and even when his health wasn't great, Tommy used to always say, "Why should a living man ever complain?" It was a lovely little sentiment, you know. And I remember also we were in the when he was in the Three Bridges, the care home. We were sitting beside him one day. It wasn't his best this particular day, and I said to him, "You know, this goal, the goal you scored in Lisbon," I said, it'll be getting replayed for years, hundreds of years after you're gone, I'm gone. There'll be a whole new audience." And Tommy looked up and went, "Well, as long as I made a few people happy, then I'm happy." And he meant it. You know, it was an absolutely, it was a lovely line. And the sense of fun with Big Tommy was marvellous. I remember that Muhammad Ali was in Glasgow shortly after he won the world title back in the 60s. And he, I think it was a publicity exercise for whatever reason. So he turned up at Celtic Park. The pictures were taken, Ali in a kilt and so on and so forth. And then they were going to cross the Ibrox. Now, Willie Henderson, who was often Tommy's rival in the Old Firm games, was a big, big friend of Tommy's. And it was good to see these two guys together later in life. But back then, Tommy was aware that Willie was a massive boxing fan. So he said to Ali, he said, "When you're over at Rangers," he said, "can you ask for someone called Willie Henderson?" And Ali, yeah, and he got one of his handlers to take the name. He said, "Yeah." So Ali was over there, and as good as his word, he did the pictures with the Rangers boys as well. And he said, "Well, what's a Willie Henderson?" And Willie Henderson came out to talk to Ali. Wee Willie's knowledge of boxing was astounding. But anyway, he was there. He was talking to Ali, and Ali looked at him and said, "You're a soccer player?" And Willie said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "You're a footballer?" He went, "Yeah." And he looked at Wee Willie's mashed snoot, which had taken a few, I think, and said, "Man, I'm happy I'm a boxer." So that was Ali talking to Willie Henderson, thanks to Tommy Gemmell. I'll leave you to go on with your evening. I can only tell you that it was always a pleasure. It was an honour. It was a privilege to ever be in Tommy's company. The remarkable, the extraordinary, the irrepressible, and the absolutely unforgettable Tommy Gemmell. Thank you. Bye.